Hey everybody, Andre here. I am here to talk a little bit about the exam like practice test. I bought the program because I needed to get a teacher certification. My situation was a little bit unique in that I had already had a teacher certification and I was already working as a teacher, but for employment purposes, I needed to pick up an additional endorsement or an additional certification. And as I was searching the web, I came upon the exam like practice test. So I thought the price was reasonable, so I went and I downloaded it and I got it right away and I started working with it. Now I want you to keep in mind here that when I bought the program, it was my second attempt at passing the test. I had already failed the test in September of 2015. And so I downloaded the program in November of 2015 to prepare for a December 2015 testing right around Christmas time. So I downloaded the program, I studied it, I put time and energy into it, I took my test, and I failed miserably. So I took a deep breath and I said, well, why did I fail a second time? Well, was it because of the exam like practice test? Maybe, possibly. And I started looking at some other things. So when January of 2016 came around, I decided just to start over again and just look at it from scratch. And here's what I discovered. If I tried to read through the material and just kind of go over it a little bit, no deal, no dice, no way, no freaking way. The exam like practice test had over 150 pages of resources and materials, specific questions, and I had just glossed over it. Well, when I went back and looked at it, I saw that this thing was like a big enchilada. It was bigger than I could have ever imagined, and the exam like practice test did a pretty good job of covering it over the overview of it with the specific examples and specific questions. They even told me in the booklet you cannot just sit and read it and think you're going to absorb the stuff by osmosis or through paralleliminal psychological absorption. You have to actually get a pen, a paper, pencil, calculator, go through the questions. Don't look at the answers and then grade yourself and then go back and apply that study with it or look for where you need to go, where I needed to go, and to do the restudy. So I decided that I was going to embrace it. But now, how to do it? We're talking about 150 pages here of material. The only way to really have to do it was just to do it. So I dedicated myself to 3 hours a day over a 45-day period of time. And I diligently went through every question, and it was heartbreaking because I failed practice tests again and again and again. I think I took, 7 or 8 practice tests, and each test was 90 minutes. But the resource was there for me to get it done. When I finished with the program, I was confident that I was going to pass, but I was still a little bit nervous. So I decided to give myself an additional 30 days to go through it. I went through it for another 30 days, not putting 3 hours a day, but putting 90 minutes a day on it, going through the practice questions. And so the moment of truth, I signed up for the test. Now, exam like practice test not only gave me the resources that I could download, but it also had a tutoring service. And the tutoring service was reasonably priced, and I should have took it. But I said to myself, I don't need a tutor. I can do this on my own after having failed the test 2 times. Well, you got to think about something. I had to pay for this test, and this test was expensive. And by taking it 3 times, it means I paid for 3 sets of tests. So I was a little limited on funds. And certainly, I think if I had failed it the third time, I would have signed up for the tutorials. But my thoughts were the tutorial was simply going to just force me to study. I don't think so. I think the tutorial would have gave me someone that had the expertise and the subject matter knowledge. Maybe I wouldn't have had to put 3 hours a day for 45 days. But you could either pay up front for expertise, or you can pay on the back end with time, energy, and failure. And I took it the second way, so just getting a tutor the first time. But I took the test and passed it the third time through the skin of my chinny chin chin. And I really have to thank Exam Like Practice Test for that, because it showed me exactly what was on the test. It didn't mess around. It was bigger than what I thought. And the only way that I was able to master it was to look at that beast in the face and say, hey, I got this. I have exam-like practice tests. I can do it. I believe in myself. I believe that I can do it. And I did it. And I nailed it. And I was so happy. Thank you. Exam-like practice tests. Bye-bye.